today I'm going to be taking you through the process of making my sister's birthday present, which is a patchwork sweatshirt made out of all different sweatshirts that I thrifted. If you didn't see the last video, which was a thrift haul, go ahead and check that out if you'd like. Just a quick little video, but that haul is primarily where I found all the materials for the sweatshirt. So before I get into the process, I definitely want to shout out a couple Instagrams that inspired me to make these: Summer's Threads and Sue's Originals. I will tag them. They're amazing. One of the reasons that I really wanted to learn how to sew and get good at sewing was to make pieces like theirs. I was just so inspired. I think they're so cool. So I actually have a few here that I made before I made Dominique's. So the very first one, which one was first? So I made all three of these are out of the same 4 thrifted sweatshirts. So all the same colors. This was the first one. It is the first one that I made and I'm really proud of it. It was more difficult than I bargained for, but I just kept chugging along. And then I made this one, which I'm so proud of. I was just thrifting one day and I'd always had these projects in the back of my mind, and I saw literally these 4 sweatshirts, like blue, purple, teal, and green. They were all in a row on the shelf and I was just like, perfect. It was just like, those look so good together. I grabbed them all and then I just started getting to work. I'm very much the type of person that just learns by doing, so I just went for it. And then the last one I made from these materials is this little one. This is actually for a little girl that I babysit, and I did gift it to her in April, but the head was a little bit too small. I didn't follow a pattern or anything, so I didn't know how to scale the sizing to a toddler's head, which is proportionally larger. So it didn't fit, and so I fixed this recently. I made it significantly larger, so I'm really hoping it fits her. It should fit her by the fall, like it's a little big overall. Oh, here's the back. But yeah, so I had so much fun making these ones, and I was sort of, just like dumping the whole process to my sister along the way. I would send her pictures, I would send her excited videos and Snapchats, and she immediately said, I'm gonna need one of those for my birthday. So let's get into the process. So the first thing that I did was I took all of the things that I had thrifted and I started seam ripping and cutting apart the fabric. Now, when I did these ones, I spent too many hours seam ripping every single seam on every single piece. And they're all, factory made sweatshirts, so the seams were really thick, really like industrial, lots of thread. It was insane. I think I spent probably like 10 hours total just on 4. So with this one, I definitely wanted to shorten the length of time that I spent just taking apart the material, because the exciting part is then laying out the pieces, putting them together, and sewing this sweatshirt. What I did is I seam ripped only the bottom and the cuffs to keep that the integrity of that and have as much fabric to work with as possible instead of cutting it off before the seam. Jury's still out if I'm gonna do that next time, because it still took so long. But instead of what I did the first time, where I also seam ripped like these big side seams and all along the arms, I just cut that out. I cut on either side of the seam, and I definitely saved a lot of hours. And I deleted hours of videos because I kind of just filmed the whole thing and it was just too much. It was too much seam ripping. It was too much cutting. Once I had most of the material cut apart, I started laying out the different colors, the different sweatshirts, and just trying to get a sense of what they looked like together, where different pieces could fit together. Laying it out and really seeing the colors next to each other was really what helped me figure out the design of this sweatshirt. I was really excited when I put those all together, and I started to really feel the vision coming together. That's just sort of a little bit of the process of how it came together, how I start visualizing it. And then on the next big wave of the process is really mapping out what pieces I need to cut and lay out for each section of the pattern. I started with the pieces that I knew for sure I was going to use, exactly where they were. So the big pink pocket, the Adidas logo on the green, I knew I wanted to use that. So I put those out and then just started mapping out different pieces, seeing what size the fabrics were, and going from there. And it all came together somewhat seamlessly. I think I measured everything probably like 27 times because I had the measurements from my sister of the fit that she liked of a sweatshirt she already had. And so I was really trying to match that. The pattern that I was using is just one that I made from a sweatshirt that I have. It's what I used for these, but these were also always intended to be more of practice pieces and just for me to wear. So if the fit was a little bit off, I wasn't so worried about it. But I started getting kind of anxious when I was like making this for someone else, and like custom size and everything like that. So I definitely over analyzed all the measurements, and sometimes it paid off, sometimes it didn't, but all in all, it came together really well. Once I laid out all of the sections, I then measured each piece, cut out with a little bit of seam allowance, and then started pinning everything together. So I would make the front piece, the back piece, and both sleeves. And from there, is the fun part, finally sewing them together. It feels so satisfying to have spent so much time putting all of this together. First taking things apart, then putting all of this together through so much vision changes and all of that to finally be sewing the pieces together. It's, first of all, one of the quickest parts of the process, and it's just so satisfying to watch it all come together. One thing that I try to do on these types of patchwork sweatshirts is, especially when sewing the arms together, this big seam, is I try to be really careful in pinning together these corners of where the fabric meets so that then it's just one clean line all the way around. There was a moment when I was getting ready to sew the big side seams and I realized that the front and back were significantly different widths. So even in my endless measuring of so many pieces, I measured one side long enough or wide enough and not the other. So I had already had so much of the sweatshirt together, and I ended up just having to add a strip of a few inches to make it all line up more and fit as intended. But again, that's kind of an exciting part of making pieces like this, is that it really lends itself to truly learning along the way, making these little mistakes, fixing them as you go, figuring different things out in every different step. And since it was just patchwork all together, it was no big deal to just add one more patch. And then all that's left to do is the bottom band, the wrist cuffs, and the hood. That's pretty much the whole process. The one thing about this sweatshirt that I didn't take in mind was the size of the sleeves. I'm still learning how to get better following my own patterns. I didn't think that far ahead because we're learning as we go. So because the sweatshirt is very oversized fit overall, the arms look a little bit small in proportion. If it were a true to size, then the arms would be proportioned to the rest of the sweatshirt. But I think that actually might be a pretty functional mistake that I made, because the arms kind of fit a little bit normally. They were a little bit big on me, so I think it'll be good for her. And then you don't have a big baggy sleeve that you have to deal with and roll up all the time, and you can have the nice, comfortable, oversized hoodie look and feel at the same time. I think that's a really fun thing about making these custom sweatshirts, is that they can turn out any which way. Now, since the video, I have actually made a more solid pattern because I definitely want to make more of these hoodies. I'm really enjoying the process. So I made a more solid pattern than the one that I used in the video. That was just a little piece of like wrapping paper. And so now I have a big, nice cardboard pattern, and those arms are proportional to that full pattern. So hopefully in the future they will all be good. And then I can always go from there, and now that I have the full pattern, I think it'll be a little bit easier to make it either a little bit smaller or a little bit bigger versus what I did with this, measuring everything 700 times and panicking. I'm so happy with how this sweatshirt came together. I feel really proud in what I learned along the way. I feel even more confident to start a new project and learn even more, get even better, and just keep having fun. It's so much fun to now spend time in thrift stores looking for materials for different projects and just know that I can just start cutting, start sewing, and we'll end up somewhere hopefully really great. So thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe, and please let me know in the comments any thoughts. Let me know what you think of this sweatshirt. I'm really excited for all of these sewing adventures. And oh, one thing. So this just came yesterday. I hope this will be in focus. It's a custom seam ripper with my name on it. Of course that wasn't in focus. Why would it have been? I think that's the theme of my YouTube channel, but here is a better view. I'm sure that I talked to her so much about how many hours I was spending seam ripping these materials, and this is just so thoughtful. I've already used this a few times on a different project I'm doing right now, and it's so nice. It works so well, and I just thought that that was the best gift ever because I'm gifting her something that I sewed, and just for her to be so thoughtful to give me a little custom seam ripper for my sewing journey. I just love that, so I wanted to shout that out. Thank you, Dominique. I hope you enjoy your sweatshirt, and yeah, so thanks for watching, everybody. I hope you enjoyed this, and I can't wait for more.